In this video, I want to discuss one of the major themes of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is death, and how Yuji Itadori embodies this idea. In episode 1, Wasuke Itadori is on his deathbed, surrounded by no one except his grandson. His final words to Yuji were encouraging him to help others whenever he can and not to end up alone like him. Immediately, the dark tone for the series is established and Yuji is juxtaposed with death. We are introduced to the first tragedy in Yuji's life, the death of family and the feeling of isolation it creates. Yuji truly becomes an orphan by having no parents or guardians remaining in his life. In the same episode, Yuji battles with his fear of death, but ultimately overcomes it when he recalls his grandpa's words to help others. Yuji's fear of dying alone is greater than the fear of dying to a cursed spirit. This establishes Yuji as a character who will sacrifice himself if it means he can save the lives of others. Yuji ate Sukuna's fingers in order to protect Megumi and his classmates from a cursed spirit. However, this act was considered forbidden and Yuji was sentenced to death by Jujutsu headquarters because Sukuna is too dangerous if given a vessel. Yuji was given two choices: die now or die after consuming all 20 of Sukuna's fingers. This is the second tragedy of Yuji's life. With the help of Gojo, Yuji's execution was temporarily suspended, but death awaits him regardless. Yuji accepts that his death is inevitable and he wants to help as many people as possible so that he doesn't die alone. During his admission interview for Jujutsu High, which was actually a fight with Principal Yaga, Yuji learns about the burden of being a Jujutsu sorcerer. In this occupation, sorcerers are inches away from death on a regular basis, and Principal Yaga states that every sorcerer dies with regret. Yuji accepts this burden and chooses to live a life without regret. Although Yuji's intentions are pure, his desire to help everyone is naive. This is established in the detention center where the moral complexity of being a sorcerer is highlighted. Should you save a person that could potentially murder the innocent in the future? This is an ethical dilemma that Yuji and Megumi don't agree upon. Yuji believes that every life is worth saving, whereas Megumi is more selective in who he chooses to save. Not every life is equal, and it's a sorcerer's job to make that nuanced decision. Yuji's goal of helping everyone is not as simple as it once seemed. In the face of overwhelming strength against the special great spirit, Yuji's ideals break down. And he starts questioning his actions. His lack of strength led to Sukuna taking over his body and holding him hostage. This eventually resulted in Yuji's death, the third tragedy in the series. Yuji did not die surrounded by others and failed to defeat the special great spirit. Up to this point in the story, Yuji has faced one loss after another. His grandpa passed away, he was sentenced to death, and finally, he died on his second mission as a sorcerer. The only reason Yuji is alive today is because of Sukuna's reverse curse technique, which is able to revive and regrow limbs. When Yuji gets a second lease on life, he realizes the gap between himself and the top tier fighters like Gojo and Sukuna. Yuji cannot save anyone if he doesn't have the strength to back it up. Conviction alone is not enough. This was the main motivator behind his training with Gojo, which was to control cursed energy. When Mahito manipulates Junpei into poisoning his classmates and ultimately murders him, enter the fourth tragedy in Yuji's life. Yuji learns just how evil curses can be. This was the first time in the show where Yuji visibly expresses hatred towards someone. After all, the death of a friend is a heavy burden. Within just 13 episodes, Yuji witnesses and undergoes so much pain and tragedy that encapsulates the life of a Jujutsu sorcerer. Overall, Yuji and death are written closely together. It seems to follow him wherever he goes. Yuji truly is a tragic character, and I would not be surprised if, at the end of Jujutsu Kaisen, he dies surrounded by all of the people he has saved. This would be a bittersweet ending and would perfectly capture the melancholy tone of the series. I've realized how gloomy this video sounds because of the subject matter of death, so in an attempt to lighten the mood, here is a picture of Gojo wearing a skirt to cheer us all up. But that's it from me. If you enjoyed this, leave a like, subscribe. Thanks for watching.